Legendary fish. Some of the most infamous challenges in Final Fantasy XIV, usually the last 6 fish added per expansion, and almost always the most difficult to catch. They serve as the true bottleneck to get the big fishing titles, like the final fish. So what makes them so difficult? Well, first and foremost, fishing isn't like combat or crafting. There's no unsinking and you can't just outgear the challenge. Some legendary fish have complicated mechanics involving convoluted requirements to get them to appear. Some of them are just plain rare or have extremely low uptime. Some of them have both. And unlike with regular big fish, the skill Fish Eyes, which removes time requirements for fish older than 2 expansions, doesn't work on legendary fish at all. Their uptime windows are set in stone and can't be altered. If Cinder Surprise has a month of downtime, that's just it. No chances for a month. Period. Big fishing speedruns aren't really a thing because of this. You have to pick when you're attempting it really carefully or else everything might not even be spawning within a reasonable time. And it's really easy to get screwed over by RNG and that's just it. It's over. And that was your only shot. Instead, a more popular challenge is fishing derbies, where people compete to see how many different fish they can catch within a set time period. The Fisherman's Horizon Discord holds these occasionally, and I took part in a fun unofficial one last year where I tried to catch every big fish during one Bobgoblin Bass downtime. And it was while I was preparing for the Bobgoblin Blitz that a question came to me. Is it possible to catch every single legendary fish in one single day? So I started looking for a miracle day, a 24-hour period where every single legendary fish would spawn at least once, sometime between February 2024 and my extremely rough estimate for when the next set of legendaries would come out, which was approximately June 2026. And I couldn't find one. But I did find this 27.5-hour period starting on May 15th, 2025. Where everything spawned at least once, so that was pretty close. So to answer the question, is it possible to catch every legendary fish in one day? The answer is literally no. Okay, now the next question for me becomes, obviously, how close can I, personally, get to catching all 30 legendary fish in one 27.5 hour day? Because I'm just going to pretend that that's one day from now on, okay? Just bear with me on this, okay? Let me have this. Well, fortunately, I wouldn't have to wait too long to find out, because May 15th, 2025 was only a quick and chill, 15 months away. Prior to the event, I made a big spreadsheet of literally every window for all 30 fish throughout the whole day to try and plot out the most efficient approach, as well as making a fish train route that people could theoretically follow that would comfortably hit up every single one exactly one time. One thing that was really convenient was that it was actually possible to hit up every fish, even though a lot of them only had a single window of availability. None of them overlapped in a way that made it impossible to hit them all. Any hopes I had of actually managing to catch all 30 were instantly crushed by the fact that the very first fish up was Cinder Surprise, which did what it does best and didn't even show up. So that was kind of bad news for my dreams and ambitions, but probably good news for my physical and mental well-being, since it meant that I didn't have any urge to skip sleep to try and catch imaginary virtual fish in a video game. And since this was only one day long, it also meant I would only have 2 or 3 shots at most of the fish, and quite a few I would only get one chance to try. As anyone who has tried for legendary fish will tell you, there is no number of windows that guarantees a catch, and 3 is definitely way too few for a lot of them. The fact that I only had one shot at all for Cinder Surprise, Elid Skan, and the Ruby Dragon, the so-called Big 3, pretty much meant that I would need incredible luck to get any of them, and I am not an incredibly lucky person, so I got 0 of the 3. C'est la vie. Of course, not all legends are created equal, and there's a few that have been, if not trivialized, then certainly made much easier over time via the addition of new skills. Probably the most infamous is the Unconditional, which the addition of Surface Slap has now made it possible to be the only fish biting on its bait, but there's quite a few others that you'd have to be genuinely unlucky to fail even if you only had one window to try, including Opabinia, Shonisaurus, and Drepanaspis. Whoops. Drepanaspis. 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 Uh-oh. That's okay. Second intuition. Drepanaspis. Drepanaspis. Oh. Drepanaspis. Drepanaspis. And Drepanaspis. Okay, that would have been really embarrassing. That was the only Drep window, and I caught it with like 2 minutes to go out of 23 minutes total. But you see what I mean. RNG can really screw you over, even on an easy fish. Especially the slip rate, which is the one thing that fishers still to date have literally zero ability to negate or ameliorate. Drepanaspis wasn't even the worst offender. My first attempt at Nepto Dragon, I had 13 consecutive slips in one window, and I didn't catch it. I did get it on the next window, after a few more slips. I was getting very nervous, let me tell you. So just to kind of go through a few other highlights of the day, Lapisaris elegans had 2 windows, and they were both really awkwardly timed. One was immediately after Ruby Dragon, so I missed like half of it. The other was during Garlicthus prep. I didn't get it in the first window, and I decided to press my luck and go for the second one, which would risk ruining the Garlicthus window. But obviously I am a hardcore gamer girl, so I got both, and I only kinda saw the face of death a little bit near the end there. I didn't catch Sea Butterfly, but I got some really clean 3-int windows, even with my undergeared Alt's tiny GP pool, which felt nice. This was mostly down to some really good luck with pulling larges though, but you take what you can get. 4 slips, none stuck. Bit better luck and I would have had it. Probably my most embarrassing error is that I forgot to buy metal spinners before the event started, and I didn't realize until I was most of the way to my first Problematicus window, so I had to leave and come back. When I actually got to the fishing spot, I realized I also didn't have any magma worms either, but at least Versatile Lore can get fossil tongues pretty easily, so that wasn't so bad. A fun fact some people don't know is that Aquamaton and Stephacanthus actually are up every Eorzean day, and the reason their uptime is usually shown as being less than that is because one of the fish you need to catch in order to make them appear has a tighter weather requirement, a shade shifter in the case of Aquamaton, sculptor in the case of Stephacanthus. I tried to use fish eyes to get extra windows of both, but I had no luck with either. I also tried to use fish eyes to get a lancetfish without having to use the infamous lancet jail strategy, but that also didn't work. No lancetfish for me. I had to keep taking breaks to go script farming because I didn't stock up well enough on high cordials before I started because I'm stupid. So if you're fishing for over 24 hours, you will need more than like 50 high cordials. Pro tip. An unexpected technical issue that I ran into was that a few hours in, my computer started to overheat or something and kept like flickering on and off for a second, and it was getting worse and worse over time. This of course happened right at a time when the most fish were spawning, so I basically had to muscle through a few windows like this until I had 15 minutes to safely turn it off and let it cool. The most windows I attended without a catch was Armorfish with 4. The most windows I attended before a successful catch was Namitaro with 5. The final window of the event was Sidereal Whale, kind of a fitting conclusion. This is a pretty infamous one because one of its requirements is itself a pretty rare fish called Felina, which is up for 11 minutes out of every 70. One common approach is called Whale Jail and involves pre-catching the Felina and just sitting there until the actual whale window opens. Unfortunately, I couldn't do that because of awkward timing with the only Shonisaurus window, so I had to rely on my ability to catch a Felina live and then get the whale during the same window, an approach which I like to call YOLO whale, and which is honestly my preferred approach because I hate sitting around and wasting my time. And once again, the f it we ball approach was proven effective. I have caught a half dozen sidereal whales like this, and I can never be stopped. So, in total, my final count for one day, asterisk, of legendary fishing was... 20! 20 legendary fish out of 30 caught in one-ish day. Honestly, much better than I expected. Some of these catches were extremely lucky. Greater Serpent of Ronka, Snowy Parexis, and Garlicthus, I feel especially like I really lucked out. And meanwhile, there's a few like Aquamaton and Lancetfish that I feel like with a few more attempts, I could totally have had them. While this one-day confluence of legendary fish is unique, seeing all of them spawn within 48 hours is much more common. So I think if people really wanted to try for it, it wouldn't take too long for us to see a successful 2-day 30 legend run. Although, honestly, I'm not super sure I would recommend it. Legendary fish fail more often than they succeed, and repeatedly losing windows to just plain bad slip luck starts to wear on your mentals pretty bad, especially if you stayed up late for it. It was a fun experience to try, but I'm probably not gonna go for it again.